Good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you're at, ladies and gents. I am Kura Isagami, your resident tinkerer and Medarotter, and this is the Medarot News Network, bringing you all the latest developments and happenings with our favorite pet fighting robot series. Now, as we crest even closer to Medarot Day 2025, only 1 week left to go, just a little bit over, it looks like things are definitely showing up just a little bit of a mysterious hand in this case. Lots of puns there to be intended if you choose to dive a little deeper. But this week, it looks like they choose to reveal another brand new model that served to complete a set that got first revealed and announced back during the 5.5-year anniversary event, and that was the upgrades to the original Trump cards from the days of Medarots 3 and 4. Now, back in the early 5.5-year anniversary, we got King Landio to Ganking, we had Jack Arceus to Jackal, and of course Last Queen to May Queen. But it seems and appears that they did purposely skip out on introducing a successor to First Ace. That is no longer the case. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump right into what was officially announced for this week, starting with the gotcha banners and who to expect in this week's lineup. Now, much like it was with the anime bots, which will still be around for yet one more week, we have even more banners that are going live on top of that. The brand new model that is going live this week, of course, though, is TJ001 Sinister Ace, with an almost completely new kit across the board of Trap Jammer, Head Canceller, Charge Drain Shot, Biped Legs, and the leg ability of Confront. Now, much like the original First Ace and following suit of all the Trump cards before, Sinister Ace also has the ability to shed all of her armor in an alternative meta change mode, where she exchanges her kit out for Insanity, Needle Guard, Comeback, Float Legs, and the leg ability of Bullet Charge. So it looks like they saved arguably the most sinister looking, another pun intended, for last when it comes to revealing the last successor model of the upgraded Trump cards. But even then, it makes it abundantly clear that Sinister Ace's entire intent on the field is to make herself as much of a recurring pest as possible. And I think she's going to be doing that incredibly well with the kind of skills that she's bringing to the table, with a lot of mixing of a lot of very dangerous or very high nuisance type skills merged in together to make only one or two. Now, when it comes to that, though, we have a number of other banners that are going live this week, too. And in honor of Sinister Ace finally getting dropped to complete the quartet of the upgraded Trump cards, so too the original upgrades will be going live this week as well to celebrate. So that being said, we have an opportunity to pull back for TKG01 King Landio with Super First Aid, Countdown, Reduce, Biped Legs, and Unshakable, who can meta change into a floating base form with Zetai Guard, Force Trap, Force Plant, Float Legs, and Pupa. There also includes TQN01 Last Queen with Double Melt, Exhaustion, Lock Blow, Sea Legs, and Pick On, and an alt mode with Reincarnate, All Guard, Rebuild, Float Legs, and White Mage, and TJK01 Jack Arceus with Power Napalm, Beam Vulcan, Break Vulcan, Flight Legs, and Assault, who can also alt his mode for Leg Killer, Shoot Bash, Fight Bash, Float Legs, and Defense Plus. Now, it is going to be very interesting to see just how well Sinister Ace hits the field and just how useful she ends up being. But all that being said, this is going to be a very good week all the same for anyone that is looking for very solid DPS or even secondary support or auxiliary. King Landio in particular is one of the very few models that I've actually graded at a 10 out of 10 and must have. So if you do not have King Landio already, this is going to be a perfect opportunity to do so. Now, when it comes to boosted rates this time around for all 4 of this week's banners, it's going to be a little bit of a mix like it was last week, where they're going to introduce a pair of models that are sometimes shared between banners. So ultimately, I'm not going to go over all the kits specifically for them. You can always consult all of my breakdowns for more information on that. But to simply explain the boosted rates for this week, for Sinister Ace and King Landio specifically, the Saikachi C and Dorcas C, the crafty mode version, will be live on both of their banners. For Jack Arceus, it'll be XIC and Unitress C, and Last Queen will be featuring Black Beetle and Black Stag as her boosted rates. Now, something I want to note as far as all the banners going live this week are concerned. You may notice, if you have not yet, I'll explain it, that all the models are meta change type. which means you either pull the entire model all at once or none at all. There are no pity parts that you earn through multi-pulls, so you either get them all at once or none at all, and that makes these banners just a little bit more unforgiving than others. So this is just something to keep in mind of while if you plan to go for any of these particular models. But the bottom line is, no matter which one you choose to go after, whether it be for the boosted rate or any of the upgraded trump cards, you most certainly will not go wrong with anything they bring to the table. And that can be also said for the anime bots that will be live for yet one more week. A couple weeks actually, during the course of the Medarot Day 2025 event. For the Fierce Battles this week, it's going to be a pretty miscellaneous and varied skill week, so it's kind of hard to determine a pro and a con ultimately to everyone that is present here. But for that particular lineup for this week, we are seeing SKD-0 Sagoto with Beam, Double Hold, Biped Legs, and Captor. GLM-0 Sekizo with Triple Missile, Tank Legs, and Continuous P, and DGD-0 GO Death with Optic Guard, Double Sacrifice, Float Legs, and Mirage. On the bottom row, we have TOT-0 Yellow Turtle with Heater, Double Laser, Tank Legs, and Bullet Rain, and GMN-0 Gemini with Optic Guard, Wave, Hold, Wheeled Legs, and Adapter, and JOK-0 Shoeport with Heater, Beam, Power Rifle, Biped Legs, and Aim. So ultimately, like I said, it was kind of hard to determine which one was a big MVP of the bunch, because all of them are fairly solid in their own right, but picking one that was better than others is a little bit of a challenge. So Goto, for instance, having Hold and Captor is a fairly solid bonus. It's fairly solid for synergy there. Sekizo, mostly for Tank Legs with Continuous P, is nice, as the passive boost to heating over the next 5 turns does give him a little bit more of a speed advantage than others. Geo Death, mostly for sacrifice if that's your particular style of play. Yellow Turtle arguably probably will be one of the really big ones as well for Tank Legs and Bullet Rain, but ultimately Gemini and Shoeport will probably end up being the 2 really big ones I'm going to decide on this week, primarily because Gemini having Adapter on Wheeled Legs is very nice, so even if the stats are a little more modest, having Wheeled Legs with A rank on any terrain is really good to get a hold of. Furthermore, Shoeport having Power Rifle on the left arm, even if it is a heavy part, is a fantastic skill that you can use just about anywhere with no real drawback or penalty to it, which makes using it very, very easy and user-friendly. So ultimately, all 6 are worth going after all the same, but Shoeport and Gemini probably will be the 2 big ones I'd push for this week if you have to farm for anyone specifically. For the events going on this week, it is going to be fairly low-key this week as well, most likely as a precursor for Medarot Day next week. But to highlight that, we have the opportunity to earn the Puppet Medal, which is a Hunter Nature medal with a mastery in shooting, support, and defense, and leg masteries in biped, tank, and float. Essentially a perfect best-in-slot medal for Sinister Ace, who's coming out this week. We can also re-earn, or earn if you missed him the first time, RIC-0 Mad Muscle from the days of Medarot 1, with a kit of Trap Clear, Break, Press, Tank Legs, and Trap Buster, and of course the usual span of the monthly gacha tickets and other limited time rewards. The event for this week will be Score Attack, so pure sets will be encouraged across the board if you plan to make use of any farming over the course of this week. Now, a lot of the models thus far have been stuff we're already seeing or have already gotten through the course these last couple of weeks, so ultimately I wouldn't say it's going to be too difficult, but just beware once more that all the banners going live this week are meta change only, so be very careful with your Ruby stocks if you do plan to save anything for Medarot Day over the course of the next couple weeks. For Medarot Survivor, though, it is going to be fairly low-key, though, as essentially they're just resetting the Megalophilos event with a reset and a refresh, so not really anything to mention there as far as new stuff is concerned or anything limited time. Essentially, if you've already farmed the first half of the event, you do have an opportunity to farm the second half for more limited time rewards and resources. Nothing really there to make note of. For community stuff, we are always looking for assistance with any of our ongoing translation endeavors, such as the Medarot 4 translation project, or even with any of the manga translations. This includes any possibility for assistance in cleaning, coding, or if you have knowledge in Japanese. So if you have knowledge or understanding of any of those or would like to give a hand, please feel free to reach out to me or join our Discord in the link provided below, and we can absolutely get you in touch with the right people to fill you in. Alternatively, you can also donate to the cause through a Link2Variant's crowdfunding as well, where we can also commission to have some of those extra lines of text translated. That takes a little bit of work off of the translators and makes things just a little bit easier overall so they can focus on cleaning and typesetting. But ultimately, do feel free to either spread word or even ask around, spread word, or even ask us personally, and we can most certainly get you on the right track of what still needs done and what we're still looking for. One final reminder before I do wrap us up this week, though, because it is going to be a fairly quiet week, is I am also open on cards. So the link provided to my particular one is provided here below. So if you would like to reach out to me for an art commission, live 2D models, standard art, 3D models, my VTube 64s, which have definitely taken off, feel free to DM me, or you can even reach out to me on card as well, where I do have my contact information where you can find me. But ultimately, that does cover basically everything for this week. So, like I said, it is going to be fairly busy as far as banners are concerned, especially with the introduction of Sinister Ace. But ultimately, it is going to be a fairly quiet week since we are focusing on the introduction of and bringing it and hyping up for Medarot Day 2025 this next week. So, like I said, it is going to be fairly quiet. I'm expecting they're doing it that way on purpose, most of the time just so they can help kind of keep things controlled in light of the events to celebrate the anniversary next week. But with that being said, if you'd like to know more, you can follow us below on Facebook at the Medarot News Network page, or the Metabots Forever community that I do also run and manage. You can also join us on Discord in the link provided and in the comments below to keep an even closer ear to the ground on the action. This includes any new links to merchandise, fan art, contests, my weekly episodes, or anything else of the like. That is the first place you will see any news go live before anywhere else on the net. One thing I would also like to mention as far as community-based stuff is I will also be announcing the winners to the Ori Meta contest we've been hosting this next week here on the Emanator as well. So do make sure you tune in to next week's coverage to see that. Lastly, you can also follow me on Twitter, Blue Sky, or Discord at ItsuGamiKura. So if you have any questions, concerns, feedback, I'm always open to that. I leave my DMs open on purpose. Just give me a reason why you're messaging me. Don't just say hello and leave it at that. Because especially with all these with the fake and spam bot accounts, you can never be too careful in this current day and age. But I always leave my DMs open on purpose for that reason. Same can be said if you'd like to possibly commission me for art or even collaborate with me. Whether having you here on my channel or me stopping it on yours, I would absolutely love to do so. But with all that being said, as always, I do appreciate you all for stopping in, just as you always do. And until next time, this is your host, Kura Isagami of the Medarot News Network, signing out.